My ex-wife, 52F, and I, 53M, had been married for 26 years. I'll call my ex Joanne, just for story's sake. Anyways, beyond those 26 years, Joe and I have known each other since we were 17. We went to high school together. Well, I went to a high school on the opposite part of town, and she went to the Catholic high school. All we've known is each other. Right out of high school we decided to travel for a bit and experience a bit of what life had to offer because we knew that we wanted to start a family and travel might be sort of out of the picture, or at least look different, after we had kids. Not only that, but I had come into some money after my grandfather passed away and he had passed down some land to my father who had then gifted us about a quarter section of land. When we came back, we built our own place on the land that had been passed down to me, got married, and Joe quickly got pregnant with the first of our 4 boys. My family comes from a long line of farmers. It's what we do best. I had always known that it was something that I was going to end up doing, but it never bothered me. I didn't feel forced into it by any means. It was something that I was interested in and I took pride in. I had helped both my grandfather and father on the family farm since I was just a small boy. It was in my blood. Joanne came from a big blue-collar family. Her father was the best heavy-duty mechanic in the county and had spent a lot of time at our farm fixing our equipment. That's actually how we met. She tagged along with her father one day when a piece of equipment had broken down. We caught each other's eye and the rest was history, as they say. Even though her father was who he was, she had never actually gotten her hands dirty until we built our house on the farm. I don't want to toot my own horn, but at the time, my family was one of the largest dairy producers in the north. And because of that, my family's name was well known and well respected. I remember talking to Joanne and telling her that there wouldn't be much outside of the farm for me. I'd likely be working on it until the day I die, but she claimed she was okay with that. She told me that this was the life she wanted and that she wanted to be with me, and anything outside of that wasn't a life she wanted to be a part of. And so she helped me operate the farm up until about 4 years ago. By then our boys had long been grown men starting their own families and were also helping out on the farm. Around that time she took up a job with a company similar to Avon, a door-to-door cosmetics marketing scheme of sorts. A friend of hers from out of town had talked her into it. She said she would do really well in something like that because she was so hot and charismatic and was well known in the area as she had joined a bunch of councils and boards. These apparently were her friend's words, hot and charismatic. I encouraged her to take the leap and said that she'd do well no matter what she did. After her friend said that, Joe kept asking me if I thought she was pretty and if she was good looking. This really felt like it came out of nowhere to me. Joe had never been the kind of woman to doubt herself. And honestly, Joe was one of the most beautiful women I had ever laid eyes on. I told her she was beautiful and I tried to make a habit of saying that to her every day after that. It had gotten me thinking that maybe I hadn't been saying enough prior to that. It was shortly after that when I noticed Joe's enthusiasm about the farm started to slip away. She just wasn't interested in it and didn't really ask me about my day anymore or went out of her way to do small chores around the farm. Not that I expected that of her, but it was just usually what she had done. We ended up talking and she said that she didn't want me to be mad at her for taking on a new job, and I told her that I had more than enough help and that she should do what makes her happy. I would never be mad at her for doing something that made her happy. She ended up taking the job and actually doing quite well. With this certain company, once you sell a certain amount of products, the company actually buys you a vehicle. Not just any vehicle, but one of those fancy schmancy German vehicles. She ended up becoming regional manager and the company compensated her and her hard work with a free car. I was really proud of her. But as soon as she got the car, I noticed her personality change a bit. She drove around town like her shit didn't stink and I had to hear about it from the husbands who had heard it from their wives. At first I just thought it was jealousy. I mean, it's not unheard of in a small town. People don't really like change all that much or like people flaunting their cash. My wife had always been so modest. She had dressed well, but she didn't dress above her means. She was always a t-shirt and jeans kind of gal. And my wife, in the whole time that I've known her, had never gotten her nails done. But after that car, she started getting her nails done and she was buying all these high fashion clothes that she'd drive into the city to get. I mean, I'm not fashionista, by any means. I couldn't tell you one designer from something you'd get at Walmart, but the clothes she was wearing were racking up the visa. Not that she wasn't paying it down, but I knew the amount that she was spending on clothes when the bills would come in, and it was more than she had ever spent on clothes in about 5 or so years. I tried to be supportive. She told me that this job was all about image and standard. She said no one was going to take her seriously selling ladies' makeup and cosmetics when she was looking like she came off the farm. The way she had explained it did make sense at the time. I thought, hey, who am I to tell her what she can and can't do with her money? Anyways, this job allowed her to travel and work from home. The money she was bringing in allowed us to take trips here and there, but nothing too crazy. I mean, we weren't a Disneyland family. We had been to the Grand Canyon and to Joshua Tree, but nothing far beyond that. When she traveled all over for conferences and meetings and whatnot, she'd go to Miami, Las Vegas, San Francisco, and New Orleans, just to name a few. I mean, big enough cities that they seemed a bit overwhelming to a redneck like me. But when Jo would come back home, she'd be full of life. And it was so great to see Jo fresh and revitalized. I honestly felt really happy for her. Now, I can't remember exactly when this was, but I think it might have been around November when she came to me and told me that there was a man, I'll call him Dom, who had recently started with the company. I thought it was weird to have a man in there selling ladies' makeup and what have you when the company was primarily women, but I thought, hey, times are changing. She said that he was a sales director and wasn't actually selling the products himself but that they had brought him in to expand the company. She said that he had come up with this big idea to compensate those who had made the top sales of the year for a trip to Mexico in February. I thought, sweet, we're going to Mexico. Both of us had never been. Then she breaks the news to me that it's only for people from the company and friends and family aren't allowed. I was like, that's bizarre. But I thought that since it was the farthest they've ever gone for something like that, it made sense that they couldn't afford to offer the trip to family as well. Family has been invited out to other things before this, but nothing as extravagant as Mexico. So surprise, surprise, Jo ends up being the top saleswoman in her region. And because of that, she was rewarded with this trip to Mexico. Apparently she was one of 10 ladies, plus a few regional directors and top folk in the company, including Dom. February pops up, she goes on this trip. I hardly hear from her in the time that she's gone, but this isn't out of the ordinary when she's away for work. I also told her to go and relax and have fun, so I wasn't hurt or anything when I didn't hear from her because I knew she was trying to unplug. I go to pick her up from the airport when she gets back and on the drive home, all I hear is Dom this and Dom that. Apparently he's 43, never been married, he's from Los Angeles and works remotely. She said that this was the first time she actually met him in person. She said that he used to work as a car salesman. Apparently he was tall, dark, handsome, and knew how to dress himself. She admires how driven he is and he really listens to her and what she has to say. Plus, he's incredibly charming and they just drank at the poolside bar and played beach volleyball the whole time. I didn't want to seem against it all, but the way she was talking about him really rubbed me the wrong way. On one hand, I knew that she was happy and having fun and I was proud of her professional growth, but on the other hand just the way she was talking about him made me uneasy. Something just seemed beyond professional about it. Then again, I wasn't used to Jo really working. Not that working on the farm wasn't working, but we worked side by side, with each other. I thought that maybe these feelings I was having were just jealousy since I hadn't actually seen her work in a type of environment that wasn't on the farm, like a corporate type. Fast forward a bit to April. I came inside to find this package on our kitchen table. It's addressed to Jo and I see that the sender says Dom. I decide to leave it there and see if my wife says anything about receiving something from him at dinner. Over dinner, I see that she's wearing this new fancy watch that I don't recall her saying she's purchased herself. Usually she's pretty keen on showing off what she's bought. I ask her about her watch and she says that it just came in today and it's a gift from her company for all of her hard work. I asked her if it was from anyone in particular from her company and she said nope, just a group, thank you. I didn't question any further but I knew she was lying. I knew it had nothing to do with work because her company usually sends things like that in company branded wrapping or letterhead. This straight up looked like Dom had packed it personally. Later that night, we were laying in bed and I decided to ask her, are you attracted to Dom? She acted shocked and offended that I'd even ask such a question. C said of course not and said that I'm the only man that she's ever been attracted to. I wasn't really convinced by this and told her that I didn't feel comfortable with the relationship she had with Dom. Well, you can imagine that started a huge fight. She talked about how there was nothing between them and that I was just jealous that she's doing well for herself and it has nothing to do with me or the farm and that I'm mad at her for not working on the farm anymore. I stood my ground and told her that it didn't have anything to do with the fact that she wasn't working on the farm anymore. I said that I didn't trust Dom and his intentions. I told her that I knew that the watch was from Dom. I said imagine if some woman was sending me gifts like that and I was keeping it a secret from you? And she's like but I'm not lying, I told you it was from the company as a gift for the sales that I'm making and the records I'm breaking within company. She said if I was breaking records, that she'd hope I was getting properly compensated too. Needless to say, I ended up sleeping in the spare room. The next day she talks to me as if nothing happened the night before. She tries to butter me up, give me a kiss and squeezes me, slaps my butt, and tells me that she misses me. No apology though. She's like we should take a trip together to get back on track. I'm like okay, sure. And it did seem a bit hopeful at first until she said she has to take a work trip this upcoming weekend and that we should talk details when she gets back. I'm immediately suspicious. I ask her where she's going? Why didn't she bring this up before? She told me Nashville and that she totally forgot to tell me but it was an important one not to miss. I ask her if there's anyone she's going to see specifically? And she asks me what I mean by that? And she says it's for training and she said the majority of the company will be going. It's mandatory. She said it's only for 3 days. There was no way I was going to give her the benefit of the doubt at that point. It was just too coincidental. I asked her where she was staying and where it was at, and she told me the Hyatt house. So she goes on this trip. It's Saturday morning, and everything is business as usual for me at home, but then I get this call. It turns out to be an Emma from the Hyatt Regency in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm thinking, why would someone from the Hyatt in Phoenix be contacting me? She tells me there's a slight issue with the room reservation under Joanne. She said there were some discrepancies with the payment method and she wanted to confirm the details with me. She said the payment information on file didn't match the cardholder's name and she wanted me to verify the card details. Right away the red flags are raised. I ask if anyone else is listed under the reservation or if there's been any guest added to the room. She's quiet for a bit and then says it looks like there's another guest registered to the room, a Mr. Dominic. Is that correct, sir? And I'm like, actually no. That's not correct. I'm like, can you tell me if they're both checked in right now? She goes, yes. Both guests checked in yesterday evening. I decide not to blow my top and give her my credit card and the conversation ends. I immediately texted Joe, just received a call from the hotel. Why is Dom checked in with you? We need to talk. Now. She texts me back, it's a work thing. He's here for the same training. Nothing to worry about. I'll explain when I get back. I'm fuming at this point. She tries to text me again later that night and she says thinking of you, miss you and all that, but I'm not responding. She even tried to call me but didn't leave a message. I actually texted my brother and asked him to come over. We sat on the porch and I told him what's been happening. He says he knows a guy who can help me and get papers sorted if that's what I really want to do. I ended up emailing the guy just to set up an appointment to see what that might look like, but since it was a Saturday I wasn't expecting a response back. Anyways, she comes home on Sunday afternoon and my brother is still there. She got her friend to drop her off. She goes to hug me but I push her away and I'm like, care to explain why Dom was checked into your room? She said there was a mix-up with the reservations and he had nowhere else to stay. Then I ask her how Nashville was. She tells me that it was beautiful weather and the food there was great. I'm like, that's interesting. Considering you were staying in Phoenix. She tries to act dumb and then I tell her that the hotel called me because there was an issue with the payment and that's how I found out about her and Dom. She told me it's not what you think. I tell her that it looks exactly how it is and that she's been lying to me. I said she was dumb enough to not change the contact information on the travel rewards so they instantly contacted me when there was issues with the payment. She tries to deny it and says that she got the conference city mixed up when she first told me and that it was actually in Phoenix. I wasn't having any of it. Then she literally goes into hysterics and starts crying and telling me that it was just that once and it was a huge mistake. She's trying to hug me and my brother literally has to rip her off me. Then he tells Joe that she better pack more stuff in that bag of hers and get her friend to pick her back up and to stay somewhere else for a while. Interestingly enough, she actually listens to him and she leaves the house. My brother stays with me that night and we get into some drinking and go over a game plan on my next moves. After that, we did some investigating and came to find that Dom was actually married with 2 kids. And because I had a few drinks in my system, I messaged his wife and told her that her husband was cheating on her with my wife. I told her everything I knew about the hotel and the gift he bought her. I wake up to Joe trying to get into the house and she's shouting at me that she can't believe I'd stoop so low to spread lies about her. Then I tell her to quit the act because I knew she's seeing Dom. She tries the crocodile tears but I literally tell her I don't believe a word she says. I tell her that she's better off just telling me the truth now. Then she says that she was so severely unhappy for all these years. She said she hated working on the farm and she's just been living this lie. She said she started this job and then met Dom and everything just changed for her. She said she finally felt free and like herself and she finally felt beautiful and loved and desired. Then she starts insulting me and calling me a dirty stupid pig. I asked her if she hated our life together so much, why she stuck around, and she said that she thought it would get better or that she would be able to travel more or do fancy things, but that I was just such a cheap bastard. I told her that I never held her back from anything and we could have traveled if she wanted to and could have gone for fancy dinners, but she never said a word to me. I told her if she would have just said something to me, we might have had a chance. And she said had a chance? And that's when I told her that I contacted a divorce lawyer. Then she starts begging me for forgiveness and really starts crying. She said she didn't mean it. She said she doesn't know what's come over her, she just liked the way he looked at her. I said I've been looking at you like that since we were 17 but you were too blind to see. I told her to get out of the house and she eventually did after I threatened to call her father. Well, then fast forward to the divorce. Obviously I had a lot more to my name than she did, so that meant I had a lot more to lose. But thankfully I was able to spend the money on this good lawyer, which he was. He was fantastic. My brother really pulled through. By the time the divorce was over, I had everything that I wanted. I kept the house and the farm and the business. I sold her back her shares of the business and a few acres of land that I really didn't need. I don't really know what ended up happening with Dom. His account ended up going private, so I couldn't see what was going on in his life. But based on the pictures on his wife's account, she's his ex-wife now. All of the pictures of him that were once there are now deleted. My brother and my boys really supported me through all of this. They weren't too impressed that their mother cheated on me, and it made family get-togethers a bit awkward for a little while until she eventually just stopped showing up to save face. Anyways, I'm moving on and life on the farm is thriving. Business is good. Like I said, I'll be here until the day I die, but I'm very okay with that. Here's to the future. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Husband's best friend kept texting him about my diet, then tried to take over my baby shower, criticized my cravings, and brought a surprise therapist to our coffee date. I, 22F, and my husband, 23M, got married young. I was 18, he was 19. Both of us knew we always wanted to get married and start a family young. I started college 2 years ago, and he just graduated with a Bachelor of Biomedical Science. My husband has a girl best friend, 23F, who I'll call Sam, who he met in college. Both of them grew up Baptist, and while he's left the church, they had a very similar childhood and bonded quite quickly. Despite what you may be thinking, her and I got along really well. She and I liked the same music and we were both studying in relatively the same field, so she became a friend of mine as well. Since I found out I was pregnant though, some issues have started to arise. We announced our pregnancy on social media after we told our parents. Sam texted my husband a congrats text and then told him to pass on her well wishes to me. She's been texting him nonstop with baby advice and what she likes to call advice for mama, which includes sometimes relatively targeted jabs at what I should eat. Honestly, I kept brushing the texts off, but it got a point where the conversations were less about the baby and more about me, which I was getting increasingly uncomfortable with because she wasn't texting me, she was texting my husband. My husband acknowledged this and has just started to show them to me and ask what I want him to do. I just told him to ignore them. When I announced I was having a baby shower and sent out the invites, I received a text from Sam. She said something along the lines of wanting to host my baby shower and set it up. I told her politely that my mom was planning on hosting it with the help of my sister and that it was a special moment for them and I wouldn't want to take that away. Well, Sam ignored that message, because the next day, she came over and insisted we start working out arrangements for the venue. I told her once again, my mom and sister were hosting it and she told me that she should take her advice and let her plan it because she'd ensure that the baby shower would be better if she planned it, particularly because she'd be working on the menu. Whether it was pregnancy hormones or just bottled up rage, I told her that the jabs she'd been making at me behind my back about my diet during this pregnancy to my husband are really annoying, at that no, she cannot host this shower, and from now on her unsolicited advice was not appreciated, especially if she can't say it to my face. That night my husband's phone blew up with messages from Sam saying that he had no right to show her those messages and they were just supposed to just be health tips because Sam was studying nutritional science and only wanted to help her best friend and ensure a happy baby in life. I know she had somewhat good intentions and she's been a good friend to my husband and to me, so Ida. Additional info, I decided not to read a lot of the messages she sent simply because I didn't care, but according to my husband I'm eating perfectly normal things for a healthy pregnancy. I've always been on the skinnier side and through high school I was severely underweight, but when I got pregnant I needed to eat more to sustain a healthy weight. I don't know if Sam knows that, but I do know that according to my doctor I'm actually eating quite well so far. Are you Sam undercover? I have to ask. Look, I don't know her intentions, but you saying you have been and are still perhaps underweight. Thanks for your unsolicited opinion on my body based on the small amount of information you have been given. I have been eating healthy, and I am now a healthy weight. As for the advice Sam was giving me, it was sound advice, yes. Medically I'm sure it was perfectly normal advice. I'm not arguing with that, but my issue comes from her unsolicited comments, advice that was not ever given to me under the pretenses of being a good friend. The advice was given to my husband, and apparently I was not supposed to see it. I don't know if you yourself have ever been pregnant, but I'm going to assume no. Advice you don't ask for, comments on how you eat, what you eat. Everyone loves to put their 2 cents in, but as long as my doctor says I'm healthy and I'm eating healthy, then as far as I'm concerned other people's opinions that I never asked for, can shove off. Sorry I have to post this here due to character limits. Hi everyone up here, just wanted to give some more context and info and answer a lot of your burning questions. Also, thank you for all the well wishes. Our baby girl is healthy and happy from what I've heard from our husband. Okay, here goes. 1. Sam is in a short-term relationship. They've been dating for about 2 months and he's nice. I haven't talked to him much, but from what I have gathered he treats her well. 2. I was severely underweight for most of high school. My mom was always very thin and so was I, but in high school I suffered from an ED for a while and lost a lot of weight very quickly. For the past 3 years I've been working with a therapist and food specialist to maintain a good diet, and that has not changed since pregnancy. My husband is happy with my health and the health of the baby. Sam does not know this, only my close family, friends and husband do. I don't share that info with many people because I don't find it necessary to. 3. Sam met my husband first before I met her. Husband and I had been dating for 3 years by then. We started dating in high school. She has never expressed interest in my husband, that I know of. 4. It was not his choice to ignore the messages, but mine. Pregnancy has given me a lot of unnecessary stress and I didn't want to add to that by causing more drama with people, so if it was his way he would have shut her down. I told him not to because Sam has always been a passionate person and I didn't think much about the messages when they first started. That has since changed. 5. What I found most weird about the situation was that I was apparently not allowed to see those messages, yet they were about me and how I was eating. Some of them were sort of snarky. The worst one I saw was along the lines of criticizing me for wanting McDonald's at 3 in the morning when apparently, a Big Mac, a large fries and a large vanilla thick shake is not healthy for the baby. I did cry a little bit after reading that, and my husband did send a text message saying that I was allowed to crave stuff during my pregnancy, which she ignored. 6. Husband and I are probably going to go low contact with her for a bit. Also, he rarely hangs out with her anymore, and if he does, he invites me, but I don't always go because I'm tired. 7. Edit. It was my choice to go low contact, not my husband's. Please stop criticizing him for this decision as it wasn't his. I'm aware this post has now become a place where many people are insinuating that Sam and my husband may have something going on. I assure you, they do not. My reasoning for going low contact and not no contact are my own, and it is what I am comfortable with at this moment. Thank you. Update 1. Hi everyone. First, I just want to thank you for all your support. Truly, it means the world. Okay, so hubby and I phoned Sam today and talked to her about the issues we were having with how she was acting. I explained that I was very uncomfortable with the fact that she had been texting my husband, not me, about my pregnancy and eating habits, and that when she assumed she would be granted secrecy and she wasn't, she got mad. Sam explained that in the moment it seemed like a good idea not to text me directly in case she overstepped and made me mad, so she was hoping that if she explained things to my husband he would be able to relay that info to me casually. She assured she just wanted to help protect and nurture the baby, and to that I said that this isn't her baby. I am perfectly capable of making sure the baby is healthy. She apologized and explained that truly she only thought she was doing something good. Husband and I explained we are just going to distance ourselves a bit because this situation has only made me uncomfortable, but husband also said that he needs to focus on his wife right now and Sam needs to take a backseat. I don't think she was overly happy with this, but she said okay. She asked if she was still invited to the baby shower and hubby said it may be best that she skips it, but I explained if she wants to, her invitation is still valid and she is still welcome. Sam did text me after the phone call asking if we can meet for coffee, so I'm seeing her tomorrow. I'll update you guys on how that goes. Honestly, I think she was just misguided. She's not a bad person at heart. Thanks. Update 2. This will probably be the last update I do unless something else happens, but safe to say after today, Sam is out of our lives. Essentially, I did go see Sam, and she was not alone. In fact, she brought her cousin, who is, pause for effect, a therapist. About 5 minutes into Sam's opening monologue, I left. She explained that after hubby and I told her we wanted low contact, she realized that clearly the stress of expecting a baby had caused me to act irrationally and she wanted me to have someone to speak to. She even tried to dress it up by saying that yay, I didn't have to pay for this. Yippee. Anyway, I left. Hubby sent her a message saying we need distance and not to contact us for a while. Edit. This does not mean we are going low contact, we are going no contact. As I stated, she is out of our lives. Sam's a bit irrational right now and we just want to minimize fallout, hence telling her for a while not to psychoanalyze, but honestly I think Sam needs help. Clearly she cares, but it's too much. And honestly it's insulting how little she thinks I can look after myself and my baby. Her overbearing personality has its limits and honestly I can't take it. Anyways, thank you for all your support. If there's another update I'll post here. For now, bye.